You've got it locked to New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Thank you. See, I remembered to thank my audience this time. Thank
you do.
Very much. Yes. Today is Monday, February 23rd, 2015. And if you can hear me, then you are listening to Straight Talk with your host, this intellectual Kate Taylor, and her co-host, the mirror of my soul, as I said last week, and most underappreciated awesome talent in the world today, Crash Jesus, Christopher Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
CJT, otherwise known as...
CJT,
right.
Yeah, you know me.
That's right. That's in your film hat, though. Right. This is HTLA Radio 1, the world's best talk radio on the world's first all brilliantly exceptional, all utterly original talk entertainment programming ever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Only one Meeps, and we've got such a show for you tonight. One could say it's a winner of a show, but, well, we can't say it's a loser of a show, although that is the topic of our show this evening. Lottery. Winner takes all, and then everybody takes the winner's winnings, and that's the way the lottery goes. It's the truth, folks. It's the truth. Now, yes, we've got so much to talk about and grapple about. I've even gotten a new button named after me tonight in my rantings about our show this evening. I don't know. Is that a bad word? I can say the bad word or not. Am I allowed to say the bad word? Well, we've also now...
you can say BS and ass and asshole and all that stuff.
You
just can't say the F word.
I see. All right. Well, because now, if you're unaware, our listeners, that all of our shows, HTLA-produced, broadcasted shows, are now available on iHeartRadio as well.
247 million listeners a month.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's why I have to double check. I know I'm the legal department, but I still have to check. So,
all right, fine.
Well, there you go. Because, things have changed now. You have to up your game and up your rules as you go as well. So there.
Honey?
Yeah.
Honey.
Well.
You can't up our game. Our game has been on top since,
1974.
Yeah.
I was 5. There you go.
Yes,
that's right.
You're on top of your game at 5 years old.
I was, though, wasn't I? I was. See, that's not a misnomer. That's actually the truth. All right. Anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We're going to get right to the talk, as we always do. So if you haven't yet been there, head on over to HTLA World, www.HTLA.radio1.com. That's the number 1, just like us.
Oh, yeah.
And as every moment you spend listening to us ticks on by, it'll become clearer and clearer that there can be only one.
Aye.
And that one is this one, HTLA Radio 1, New York.
That's right.
That's right.
New York's best talk.
That's right.
Aye. Yeah, that's right. And you're listening to the show that started it all. And that still brings you the best in celebrity guests, timeless topics, and talk you can take with you. Aye, that's Straight Talk.
I guess we're going to have a Braveheart night tonight when the show's over.
Oh, you wish.
Oh, I so love when we have those.
Most lovely wives get, pizza night, or they get movie night or something. No, you get Braveheart night.
and then I get Spartacus night, and I get Viking night. I get all wow.
Spartacus.
You guys, you're missing out. OMG.
Oh, yeah.
Just
the thing is, these women out here, they got to get the right guy.
That's the truth.
Not Mr. Right Now guy.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. Nope. I totally agree with you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I know.
That's right. So, well, just like, I get my fabulous, movie set kind of evenings. Our talk is meant to be a gift, just like your gift of movie evenings to me. So
Yeah,
something you
absolutely.
can take with you long after the show is done. So that's why I hope you'll keep your iTunes tablets and browsers locked in with us for all of our shows all of the time. That's right. That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Wait, we're going. I can't.
Is that too small for you? The teleprompter here. I'll make it bigger. Boom,
I
boom,
can't
boom.
see it. I'm
There we
blind.
go. Oh, I don't know. How
That's
to make
right,
it bigger.
and
Make
of course
it
you
bigger.
can. Of course you can. And right now you're listening, of course, to the show that started it all and still brings you the best. And I did this.
We do this every week. It's the intro.
No, I just did it in the Scottish, you fool.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Did you?
Oh my
No, you,
God!
Oh,
yeah,
you did.
I did.
I'll scroll down. Fix the teleprompter, would you? All right, here you go. Sorry, there you go.
Oh, what's my line?
Wait, hang on. There we go. Let me see. I'm not sure.
Hello, this is Sean Connery, and you're listening to HTLA Radio 1
Here we
New
go.
York. Huh?
That's it. iTunes, tablets, and browsers locked in with us for all of our shows, all of the time. There. Boom. There you go. You're in the blue there.
All right.
There.
You got it. We're ripping straight to the talk, so anytime you want to know more, just head on over to HTLARadio1.com and find out. While you...
Over there.
I thought it said while you're there. Yes, while you're there, support all of our HTLA programs by clicking on our super sponsors and advertisers and visiting their great products and services.
That's right. I'm just going to
Holy
turn
crap.
that monitor a little bit more towards you. How's that?
I'll just grow an eye out of the side of my head.
Wow.
That'll work better.
That's just, yeah.
Damn.
All right. So, again, as always, we thank you so much for your support. Leave us some feedback. Contact us, especially, what you think about our little impromptu intros like this.
Thank you for supporting mildly retarded radio.
Hey, come on. You're giving away the premise of our new show.
That's true. That's diminished capacity.
That's our new show. It's going to be coming up spring 2015.
Doing.
And if you're not aware of my husband's Tuesday night bombshell of a show, Crash Talk, well, then you have to tune in. But we're going to kind of do something like along that lines for me called diminished capacity because, where he just is the opinionator and he goes off and just drops the bombs on everybody blatantly, I'm a little bit more, what's the word?
Suck my haggis big.
Yeah, that's you, though. Yeah, that's not me, though. I'm more
I know.
lawyerly and intellectual and
Yes.
academic in my decimation. So,
Correct.
right. So I'm just going to, be rolling out all my upsetments.
All your short bus friends.
That's right. All the upsetments I have with the diminished capacities of the world.
Well, speaking of diminished capacity tonight, what the hell's with us?
What? Tonight?
Yeah, we're
Wow,
I don't
we're
know,
having fun.
charged or something. Yeah.
It's good. We had a rough weekend, and, marriage is hard. It's just hard.
It's the marriage.
It
okay.
is. It's really hard. But
That's what makes us funny.
that's it. Well, God, if we didn't keep our sense of humor, imagine.
You'd have bashed in brains on the wall, woman.
That's right. Exactly.
I'd be scoring with a bunch of slaves.
Oh, you'd have poison peeps in the bed, too, that didn't wake up in the morning. That's right.
Yeah, be careful. The new term this year is poison peeps. There you
know
go.
it. That's it. Forget the meeps. It's
more.
the poison peeps.
No more meeping stuff here.
That's right. But no, we love each other very much. But, even still, it's tough and it takes work.
Oh, sure.
And that's
Yeah.
right. As long as you love each other, though, and you're willing to do that work.
And deep throat. Anything can be, anything can be overcome.
That's right. Just
Or come over. Yes.
All right. This is Straight Talk now.
Yeah.
Remember the show we're on.
Sure is. Yeah.
All right. Right. So, we again thank you so much for your support and feedback. Contact us and enjoy your visit to the world of HTLA. Right.
So what's the show about tonight, my little chickadee?
It's not the Scots, I can tell you right now. It's about this abomination that's called the lottery.
Oh, I thought you were
in
going to
this
say
country.
Obama. Okay, never
Oh,
mind.
no.
Abomination, get it?
I get it. But you know what?
Yeah.
He should abolish the lottery. Let it be his last executive order before he leaves.
Oh, yeah, that'll gain popularity, won't it?
Oh, yeah, because so many people win. You know, I mean, maybe they could save some of their money. They wouldn't be so if they didn't spend it all on the lottery. Now, I have to say,
She's not being fair, yes.
I'm not being fair because before I got married, and my husband will attest to this because he put a stop to it immediately upon us moving into our marital home.
Right.
I used to spend hundreds of dollars a week on the lottery. I used to buy scratchy cards like they were Tic Tacs, right? And then I'd always win, so I'd use them to buy more. And, okay, so I had to throw another 10 or 20 in there once in a while. That was no bigs, right? But
right.
yeah, I was just as, diminished as everybody else that plays the lottery right now. That's right. But you opened my eyes, honey. You did.
Well.
And, after almost 5 years of not being allowed to play the lottery, I can say, what was I thinking? Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's right. Mm-hmm. Well, with that, though, so there's a lot to get to tonight. So before we get rolling, my everything, would you be so kind as to get to the station business, if you please?
I would, of course, be honored to handle the station business. So here we go, gang. Tonight, Straight Talk is, of course, brought to you by Tim Hortons New York. And there are 8 fine locations to serve all your coffee and baked goods needs throughout the city. Make sure you check them out, especially if you're a Dunkin' Donuts fan. You won't be for long.
OMG.
Also by Netflix Original Productions. Yes, make it a Netflix night.
Yes.
If you don't have or if you do have, I should say, a surface relationship where you don't really want to get into each other's business, you can make it a Netflix night tonight. Also, by PreSonus, we are a PreSonus broadcast studio, 24/42 digital mixer extraordinaire, compressor. I think the thing even makes popcorn. Thank you, PreSonus, for their lovely stuff. And, of course, as always, by the Fierce Kitty Omnimedia network of fine beverages and tools.
Oh, you silly.
What
For fine media products and offerings.
What do they sell?
Meow.
I like beverages and tools. Hey, what are you drinking? I'm drinking a Fierce Kitty.
No, Fierce Kitty Omnimedia is devoted to the premise of elevating young women to the stature of women, and not the media's idea of what women should be, and not the feminist ideal either. It promotes femininity as opposed to feminism.
Start a movement to promote the Spartacus women way of being.
No, screw that. Well, all right. I mean, I can do that because it was so cute today when he said to her, "I'm not sure I like your tone," but anyway, that was kind of cool. But no, we're not as much anti-feminism as we are pro-femininity. There's so much that women are missing out on by replacing that. They're forgetting what the feminine wiles are all about in favor of the feminism. And it's just wrong on every level. It just is, So they could be doing so much better, But whatever. I just do my best,
William, they've just conscripted 30 feminists. Oh, no. We've got to stop now. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter. For the station, of course, it's at HTLA Radio 1. For yours truly here, it's at Crash Talkin'. And you can follow the critical tweets.
Non-existent tweets of Fierce Kitty Kate.
Yes. At Fierce Kitty Kate.
Because I have time.
Because she is always on there creating the news for you like everybody else.
Right.
Finally, remember to join us here each week because, hey, you never know who's going to be showing up on Straight Talk to talk straight. So now, before we roll, my dear, it's time to say it.
Okay. Ready?
Uh-huh.
Tonight's show is
powered by Procast.
Oh, yeah. And people wonder how I do that voice live like that.
I don't. You reverberate quite handily through the house.
Uh-huh. It's in my hand. Woohoo! Yes. So tonight's show, as we were saying, is about the lottery and the abomination that we feel is the lottery in this country. Or at least I do. I don't know if you share that opinion.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I've pretty much long held an opinion about the lottery, actually.
Yeah.
We have them in Canada, of course. The national lottery is the 649, I believe. And then in each province, they have their own provincial lotteries. So for us, it was the BC 49. That was the British Columbia lottery. So it's a separate thing. So every week, you can have a 649 ticket You can have a BC49 ticket, and you can spend your entire week's earnings on scratch and win tickets, just like you can here.
Aha.
But I've never gone in for it. My mom, years ago, growing up, she used to buy a 649 ticket every week. Later years, she actually, where she worked, they would all pitch in, like 50 staff or something at this place. She was working at the cancer clinic, and so all the staff would pitch in like $10 or something a week, and they'd all go in and they'd buy like however million numbers they could get for $500 or whatever. Yeah. So they would do this every week. Every week, nothing. For years, this went on nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's funny, too, because she used to try and push me into it, too. I'd go over there for coffee when I was like 22 years old kind of thing. And she'd be like, so you got your 649 ticket? The jackpot's $6 million tonight. And that's the other thing. In America here with things like the Powerball, you know, here's $500 million this week. In Canada, we're all salivating and getting frothy at the mouth for, when the jackpot reaches like 6.5 million or something. So, but it's that 30 million as opposed to 300 million. So, but no, I never bought into it. And I think my friend Todd Smith in Victoria coined it best. I never really had an opinion on the lottery before that because I never played it. I never bothered with it. I thought people were just throwing their money away for pieces of paper. I kept thinking to myself, geez, I should start a business where I print a piece of paper off my computer and give it to you, and you give me $2.
Right.
Because I would do a lot of printing. But no, so
the same reward.
I never bought into it. I never, in my entire life, throughout the history of time, have I ever known anybody, whether they be family, friends, outer circle, people affiliated, people I've ever worked with, never out in that huge network of people has anybody I've ever known won anything more than like, I wanted $10 or I won a free Scratchy.
I won $1,000 on a Scratchy.
Okay, well, I scratched that when I first met you, and you told me that you were the biggest jackpot winner of all time that I've ever heard of. So. But Todd really summed it up with, if you've got the money to throw away, and you want to do that as opposed to buy a pack of cigarettes or go and play a pinball machine for 20 minutes or any of that kind of stuff,
right?
Fill your boots, but don't get it to where you're spending
food money,
a weekly budget that's impinging on other areas of your life,
right?
And I think that's a pretty healthy way to look at it. So,
I never did that.
There have been times where I've bought a 649 ticket the odd time. Of course, never won.
Sure.
But, I had the buck to throw away, so what the hell?
I got into it pretty seriously for a while with the Scratchy.
You had a helmet and knee pads and everything. You were a pro.
I was. I would go online, and if you go online, you can actually find out which tickets have won and which haven't. So, like, they came out with a new crossword Scratchy. Right, and they have 500 tickets all total of this game in this area, right, or wherever you are, whatever the amount is, and you can see how many of those have already been won on, like if the big prizes have ever won, or all those kind of things. I used to actually calculate, and I would only buy the ones that hadn't been won on already, to improve my odds. Obviously, I wasn't going to buy one that the prizes already were won on. So I was actually pretty. Yeah, calculating.
Well, there's another myth. Somebody in our chat room here, Apocalypse, he brings up a very interesting point. People in the United States think that people in Canada can keep 100% of whatever they win. And that used to be true. Back in, I'm thinking 1990, 90 to 95, in that time period,
right,
you could actually keep 100%. It would be tax-free.
Oh, tax-free.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then good old Mr. Harper changed that, and now you keep 55% of what you win.
Right. It's pretty much like it is here, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, too, tonight. We're going to talk about the most recent winners, and there were 3 winners, and I was, unaware. We annexed Puerto Rico, all that kind of stuff.
We're talking about the Powerball now.
Yes, we're talking about the Powerball. That was just last week on the 12th, I believe.
Right.
And the 3 winning tickets were North Carolina, Puerto Rico, and Texas, which
Right.
just burns my buttons again. Just, seriously, they're all living here. What do we got to do it in Puerto Rico for? I mean, really? Just sell more in New York.
That's more than
That's
Puerto
what you gotta
Rico's
do.
worth, isn't it?
That's another question, and that's another thing I'm going to be getting to, too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just infuriating. Yes, I know. I was the one who suggested such.
Yes.
Yes, but we're going to get to all that after our first commercial break. So stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes after these beautiful words from our sponsors.
Or it's free.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons. Always fresh. Always great tasting coffee.
Some said the U.S. has lost its innovative power. We said America is lighting the way as the innovation nation. Singular insights, superior execution. That's the power of global connections. Bank of America, Merrill Lynch. Voted top global research firm 2011, 12, and 13.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was
beautiful.
a broom closet.
But the
worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the
Egyptian cotton towels.
shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York.
Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out, we never style, we never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor. The hot new accessory, brows that wow. New from Maybelline, New York, it's Brow Drama, our first sculpting ball brush with tinted gel. Just sweep, then sculpt for bolder, sculpted brows. New Brow Drama. Get the look at Maybelline.com.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you. Welcome back to the show, Straight Talk Monday night, for this Monday, the 23rd of February, 2015.
Yeah.
13 smoking degrees in the old Central Park right now.
I feel rare for him today. It's warm today.
Yeah.
It's warm today, so that's why.
Absolutely. That's no.
Well, I don't know. It's got to be something.
Well, it was warm yesterday, but
Yeah,
it's
yesterday
gone.
was awesome.
Yesterday is gone. Yeah, it was almost it was 42 degrees, I think, yesterday in the city.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice. The dog appreciated it.
Now we're back to 13 degrees for the entire week.
Yes. She's not appreciating it, being stuck in the studio with us.
Not a good thing. So,
she's a pretty baby.
Yeah, okay. Shut up.
Okay.
We're on the air.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Well,
Talk to the frickin' dog while you're on the air? What the hell are you...
She comes with us, she's our we have a huge Mastador. She's a Mastiff Labrador.
Huge.
And her name is Trinity Rowan Taylor. That's right. Yes. She's so cute. She's our lottery.
See, and all this time I thought it was a male, and I called him Barco.
Oh, no. Oh, well, you tease about the mascot. I know you do.
Well, yeah. There you go.
All right.
So today on the show, of course, Straight Talk's episode tonight is Winner Takes It All. And, of course, we're talking about the Powerball recent winners, the selling of tickets in Puerto Rico.
The whole shebang, the whole just abomination that is the lottery.
Abomination.
It is an abomination. It is. It's an utter abomination. Listen to me. These people, these three people of whatever capacity they might be.
Diminished.
Yeah. Well, A, they're playing the lottery, so there you go.
Yeah.
2, $564.1 million. Now, first of all, that's more than most countries have in their treasuries. 2, no three people should have that much that haven't become educated and earned it themselves.
Whoa.
Sorry. What happens when you give people that don't ever know or have any experience managing money? Well, we'll get to that in a later segment when I tell you all the horror stories of people that were given lottery money and what happened to their life after.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you have to get to that point. There's lessons you learn. There's growth you have to do to be able to handle wealth of that magnitude. You can't just give somebody wealth of that magnitude. And that's part of the problem. And the other thing is, with that amount of money, even fractionally, the social problems that we could solve. Don't even get me started that there's one suicide crisis center for veterans in this entire country. One.
No.
One.
No. Yeah.
And there should never be a hungry child in this country with this much money floating around. And I am in the entertainment industry, and I have always, whether I made $10 or $100,000, whatever it was, a third of it got put to charity, whatever it was. And I didn't just donate it to crappy stuff. I made sure I knew what it was going to and that it was going to be beneficial, And, if every person of wealth did that, if we could create a system where that would occur and that would go to social issues.
Here's an interesting thing, though. Just because somebody wins, what was that one girl's take home? 181
Okay, well,
million?
that's what I was next getting to. So there were 3 winners, and they each won, give or take, around 188 million.
Okay. There has to be a strong delineation here between wealthy and somebody who got a lot of money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The one woman from North Carolina, she's 26 years old, and she's got 4 kids.
The epitome of responsibility.
Yeah, she's from, she's not from, she's not one of the daughters of the revolution. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So she's from, the poorer neighborhoods and,
See,
not educated.
I hear that, and I think to myself, geez, that's nice.
That's nice.
Finally, it's not a 98-year-old Jewish woman already who had
more
more
money. Well, we're going to get to
God.
that one next. I have that on the list as well, believe me, because that's another travesty right there. There should be a limit. There should be an age limit.
An age limit for the lottery.
Absolutely. And here's the kicker. Most of these lottery programs are supposed to benefit the elderly in this country. What? Well, here's a box of clean rags to replace the dirty ones until you abuse them till they kick off the bucket and, we can collect their Social Security checks, because no nursing home, no hospice in this country is...
No, and each one of these elderly have to pay out the ass every month just for their basic needs to be met.
Oh, and they have to choose between cat food and medicine. I mean, that's their dinner, not because they have cats. Well, it's true. I happen to have once been in the store where an elderly lady was buying tins of cat food, and I asked her how many cats she has, and she said, I don't have any. I burst into tears at the realization of what this woman was saying. It's not funny.
Oh,
I know it's funny, but it's not funny. You know, so I had the cashier stall her, and I bought a bag of fruit and a bag of veggies and, you know, some things that I felt like no matter what her kitchen situation was, she could manage, you know, to have. And I made sure that the boy that was helping her put it in her cart and took it out and you know, didn't let her know until they were at her car. And, you know, whatever happened. Because that's just appalling to me. Unabashedly appalled.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see how the social problems of the country or indeed the world are the fault of the person who wins the lottery.
Okay, well, see, that's the problem and why this country's in the position it is in the first place. We're in, you know, out for every man for himself. You know, look out for number one. And, oh, yeah, we'll help when we get there, but we're struggling too, you know, as they're driving around in their brand new whatever it is. And, you know, all this kind of crap like that. Enough is never enough for anybody in this country.
Really?
Yeah. It's never enough. Just look at the, you know, and again, I hate to say it, being part and parcel of, you know, the most egregious industry in the country for this sort of thing. But, you know, it's never enough. You know, all these ridiculous displays of wealth by these, especially the younger up-and-comers. And there's a story later. I mean, in America, you have to be 18 to play the lottery. It's not so around the world. So
no.
I've got some pretty interesting things. But so, you know, the jackpot was 564.1. After taxes, it was about 381, and they split it three ways, and they each got about 188 million, give or take. Now, what do you think is going to happen to this 26-year-old and her 4 kids with $188 million?
I can actually tell you.
It's not going to be good, none of it.
No, none of it. The kids will be dead within 5 years. She'll be dead probably less. And I got to agree with you. You know, people that aren't, well, let's be fair. With this amount of money, I couldn't even fathom that amount of money.
Oh, well, I could.
$180 million. Yeah, but you want to spend $80,000 on a wristwatch, so.
I don't want to. It's your anniversary present. It's not a big deal. You deserve it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what of course I think when you say something.
It's like a woman in her wedding set, you know, a man in his watch. It's different. It's okay.
Well, the one I'm wearing right now cost me $1,000, and it's all I'll ever need.
I know, and it's pretty, but I didn't buy it for you.
Well, okay,
so
well,
out the window it goes.
No, it doesn't.
Oh yeah, it's gonna mysteriously vanish when you get your new one. See, that's what happens, though.
Great.
Anyhow, this isn't a diatribe on, you know, that stuff. But anyway, and to talk about what you're talking about the old lady in Florida in 2013, she won $590.5 million. It's $500 million, people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is she going to do? Does
she
even have enough family?
It's like I said when she got it. She's going to die.
And it goes back to the state.
No. It'll be. Are you kidding? It'll be fought over by family and friends for decades
until it eventually gets taken by the state for whatever reasons.
Well, okay, and the government already makes out pretty well in the lottery every time it's
That's
won
what I'm
anyway.
saying. It's just a sham. And
geez, how come we don't have a balanced budget then?
Exactly. We should all stop playing the lottery for a year.
Where does the money going?
Exactly.
Oh, to social programs. Well, which ones? 'Cause
right.
none of them are seeing any.
Exactly. There shouldn't even... You know what? With this old lady's $590.5 million, Obamacare wouldn't be necessary.
No.
We could give everybody in this country health care.
Well, yeah.
That's just one lottery.
Yeah.
That's just one lottery.
Look at that.
And in 2012, 2 people split $587.5 million.
Interesting.
And that's just, because nobody's won it.
Right. Yeah. It rolls over.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, and the chances of winning is 1 in 175 million.
Oh.
So
if you buy 175 million tickets, you're going to win.
For a $500 million prize.
Right.
You'd have to win the lottery to be able to buy the tickets to win again. And
some people have done that.
Wouldn't that be a great investment, though?
Oh, no. There was a man in Calgary, Alberta, back in 90. No, I'm going to say 2003.
Yeah, he's good with his years, so you can take him to the bank on that, pretty much.
Well, you can take me to the bank anytime. In 2003, there was a man in Canada who won the lottery. It was, I think it was $14.3 million or something around that number.
All right, something cheap.
And he went and bought out his own home that he was still paying a mortgage on. He went and bought all of his family members. He had a fairly big family. He bought them all homes.
Right.
And
see, that's good.
Absolutely. He bought them all homes, bought them outright, got some of the younger ones vehicles and stuff, and just did all that stuff.
Sure.
And
the
then,
stuff you should do with it.
And then he just sat back on the rest of it, and he just enjoyed living life. He was of no great education. He was, I think he had completed grade 8 when he was a kid. He was about 58 at this point when he won. And simple Alberta man.
See, that's nice.
You know, he likes his whiskey and
14 million's not a lot. See, I can live with that.
Right.
Because I can spend that in like 2 years just on house expenses and living expenses and all that kind of stuff for all the kids we got and stuff.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though, about him. No great amount of education. You know, he was a farmer most of his life.
Well, you can't be dumb and be a farmer.
Well, true.
You can't be.
Well, you can, but you won't survive.
Right.
You know, but he took care of what he perceived as all the family's, needs.
Right.
And he took care of them nicely.
Sure.
And, everybody got a $500,000 house kind of thing. And I think when he was all done his spending and everything else, he still had about $9 million left. He didn't go out and do anything stupid. He didn't go on extravagant trips. They didn't, I think he took his wife actually on a trip around Europe.
Well, he had better have.
But they came home and pretty much carried on life as normal. He didn't go nuts.
Beautiful.
Nothing bad.
Never have to worry about anything again.
But there are so many horror stories of people who win even amounts less than that.
Way less. Yeah.
And they're just totally destroying their lives, and
right.
It's just like what is wrong?
I chalk that up to two factors. One, Canadians are just generally more laid back, and I hate to say it, just generally smarter in life living than Americans are. They're more conservative. They have more of a grasp of what's important. All right, Vancouver notwithstanding anymore, but Toronto too. But the rest of the country still is the way it always has been, pretty much. Which is really nice.
As long as they got their nice warm house and a car and some Timmies,
that's it. Yeah,
they're golden.
They're good. Yeah.
Let's go to the hockey game.
That's it. So, I can see all that. But you get some crazy American, who has visions of grandeur just from sitting around watching this television all the time.
Right. And ridiculous amounts of money that are up for winning.
I mean, that is even ludicrous. That's just ludicrous. That's just an unimaginable amount of money. And not only, did that $564.1 million jackpot be won, there were 6,000 other winners in that particular drawing.
Right.
That totaled $75 million. Yeah.
Wow.
So forget all the one jackpot winners. There are still hundreds of millions sitting in that lottery every drawing that aren't claimed, that aren't won. And, it's just like all that money being just left there when it could be put to good use, like I say, just infuriates me. And I've always had a problem with the lottery. What did I say today? If the lottery jackpot is $500 million, then there should be $500 million winners, and then we'll jumpstart the economy. So many people would go from being working poor to being all right, because $1 million is just barely enough to get through a year or two as a middle class, family now. That's just pretty much where we're at.
Cost of doing business, yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's have $500 million winners and jumpstart the economy.
Yeah.
Why give one person $500 million? You know, what happens when that one wrong person wins $500 million?
But what's the wrong person, Adolf
The
Hitler?
person that goes out and just happens to think themselves some kind of, you know, worldly criminal, that they've had these wacko fantasies of working for the CIA or being a spy or any kind of sympathizer for any kind of
With
cause.
$500 million, they can go to live it.
They can go and buy a nuclear weapon, and they can go and do whatever they want to do, and they can do whatever they want to do.
Interesting.
But it's going to happen one of these days. There was a rapist in England some years back who won the lottery, and he had just gotten out of jail, and at the time, they do now, but at the time England had no laws saying that convicted felons couldn't partake in the state lottery or enjoy any of the benefits as non-convicted citizens.
Wow.
So he won a few $1 million and went on a crime spree. He won a few $1 million, spent it on hookers and booze and drugs and cars, and upped his game of crime. You know, felt he was untouchable now because he had all this money.
So you're saying he levered that money into a bigger...
Well, he, got convicted. They took the other half away when he got arrested and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, where'd that go?
You know, well, there you go, right? Evidence locker. But Scotland Yard, But there was no laws at the time, like I said, and that's when they said, "Oh, poo, what did we do?" You know, there's
oh, poo,
exactly.
Oh, lovey,
yeah, right. So he went out and he raped and he robbed and he pillaged on a grander scale than before he had the money.
Interesting.
So he just used it to go whack crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, But we are going to talk more about those horror stories, but we have to do our commercial business.
Oh, yes, we do. Right, you are right on time. So we're going to go for that 2-minute break. When we come back, we'll talk about horror stories. Right?
That's right.
There you go.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Good morning. Welcome to Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where fresh always tastes better. What can I make you this morning?
How about our new flatbread breakfast paninis? Made fresh, just for you, with your favorite breakfast ingredients on maple or multigrain flatbread, then grilled to hot, melted perfection. Just $2.99. Who couldn't warm up to that?
Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where quality really does meet value.
Some said the U.S. has lost its innovative power. We said America is lighting the way as the innovation nation. Singular insights, superior execution. That's the power of global connections. Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Voted top global research firm 2011, 12, and 13.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out, we never style, we never go out of style. Take me
There's only one place to get more Taylor. The hot new accessory, brows that wow. New from Maybelline, New York, it's Brow Drama, our first sculpting ball brush with tinted gel. Just sweep, then sculpt for bolder, sculpted brows. New Brow Drama. Get the look at Maybelline.com.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just love this comeback music. I just
Sailing away.
feel so relaxed. And
Well, and that's why I put it on. And the other reason I put it on is because it's summery.
oh, I can't wait. It's almost
it's like-
spring. We're almost there.
It's
We're
like
almost there.
A summer in Capri on the sailboat.
We're in the home stretch. And if our year keeps going, we will be spending next summer in Capri.
We'll be broadcasting live from Capri, she should say. That's what
true.
she's meaning there, of course.
You're right about that. Well, oh God, we got to take all the kids though. If we're gonna be that
Broadcasting
long.
live from our 125-foot motor yacht. Somewhere in the...
I have no concept of size. I have no idea how big that is.
Oh, well, I'll show you.
Oh, that's right. You used to have one.
Yeah,
Duh.
not a 125-footer, but yeah.
No. Oh my gosh, that's right. I forgot my hubby's a sailing man.
You bet.
Wow. That's right.
Yeah.
You owe me a boat now. Okay.
All right, well, welcome back to Straight Talk. This is your Straight Talk Monday night on HTLA Radio 1 New York, and it is Monday the 23rd of February, 2015. Dropping in the old Central Park right now, down to 13.
Yes, it's colder than it was an hour ago.
And clear, yeah.
Which
There you
makes
go.
it colder, you said.
Absolutely, yeah. When you
No
have,
cloud cover to hold the heat in.
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
So on today's show, the winner takes it all. We're, of course, talking about Powerball and the ridiculous amounts of money being won and, indeed, what is happening to some of those people. And, indeed, other questions posed, such as, why not have $500
million
$1 million winners?
Right.
That's a good
I hope that
question.
somebody out there that makes those decisions is listening. I've been saying it for decades.
Well, this is the other thing about lottery in the U.S. and Canada. Who the hell runs them? It's not the government, because by law, that would be a conflict of interest.
Right.
And
You can bet they have a hand in it, though.
well, they must. They're getting such huge kickbacks.
Yeah, no, that's a whole entire. It's. I've always said it's a scammy thing, and it's just not okay. We're screaming for transparency. Don't read my emails to my Aunt Edna without permission, but yet the lottery is going off and just running rampant and doing whatever and financing God knows what else too. Don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but that's not out of the realm of possibility. And to even suggest it is, you're daft. You're one of the diminished capacities.
And today on Coffee and Cigarettes this afternoon, we did a story on drones.
Ooh.
The camera drones we
Yeah.
use in the film industry
Yeah.
and just remote control
Love those, yeah.
flying objects. Now the FAA is, of course, cracking down, and of course they've banned them from New York City.
Well, yeah. You have to, though, in my city.
Well, that kind of ticks me off for several reasons. Number one, they're banning the ability for filmmakers to get the $1 million shot without paying $1 million. You see, normally
you can get a license to get the drone now, and certainly
No.
you have to be able to.
Nope.
They can't do that.
The only exception is law enforcement with a court order. Judge has to sign on it. That's out today. And that poses a problem, and I think I know the reason for this. Somebody who's screwing his mistress doesn't want a drone coming up to the 38th floor and looking at them.
Right.
And going, hey, what's that?
Right.
It's something like that.
It has
because,
to. You're right.
These things don't impede planes. The range of them isn't such that you could even get up to 38,000 feet or whatever.
Can't kids use their remote controlled?
Well, this is what I was saying on the show today. We've had remote control airplanes and helicopters for
Central
decades.
Park, they have contests. They have all kinds of stuff all the time every
Never
spring
been
and
a
summer.
problem. But now, because it's the word drone, all of a sudden, there's all this regulation for us American folks.
Let's just go. We're just going. Well, I'm telling you, we're moving to Sweden. That's it.
Sweden.
I'm telling you. Gee, my daughter is learning Swedish because I'm telling you, we're going. It's socialist. It's awesome. The highest quality of living.
Yeah.
And we're there. We're just it's just too cold. It's a problem. The cold is a problem. And that's a problem.
Well,
right.
Sadly, I think with global warming, we're going to be kind of screwed anywhere you go. But
well, okay, fair enough. Speaking of screwed, however,
yeah.
actually, hubby's not quite correct about the title of the show. The title of the show, well, we couldn't fit it, is Winner Takes All, and then everybody takes what the winners won. And that's really what the show's about.
Interesting.
So, because that's what the show's about. No one, except for your Calgary friend, actually wins the lottery and keeps the money for any length of time.
Well, quite a few people in Canada, and in its history, the last 10 years, I'll say, who have won the 649, the national lottery.
Right.
One of the first things they do is they go and hire a financial advisor. And the first thing the financial advisor's job is to do is to get all your money.
Right. Embezzle all your money, steal all your money. I mean, right.
I don't know who puts out that advice, but that's what they seem to do.
Well, it's funny because in my research I came across that. That's one of the, I have a thing about mistakes that lottery winners make.
Okay.
And that's one of the number one thing there is, choosing a financial here. Yeah, it's something like this. One of their number one things that they could do is to get a financial advisor. That's one of the worst things. There's this great page. It's got this theinformedbroker.com, and it's about how winning the lottery can ruin your life, and it's debt by lottery. Now, 50% of Americans play the lottery.
Yeah.
20% of players buy the majority of the tickets. So 30% are only once in a whilers like you.
Right.
Right. And the rest, the 20%, like I was, bought them all. Every ticket has 1 in 175 million chance of being the winning one.
Right.
Okay. Victims of the lottery's lies. All right. Andrew Jackson Whitaker won $315 million in the 2002 multi-state Powerball draw.
Yeah.
After taxes, he collected $114 million. Okay. More than enough. Right? All right.
Well, for a couple of years, yeah.
He gave 10% to various Christian charities. Good on you, Mr. Whitaker. Okay? He got sued by Caesars Atlantic City for $1.5 million in bounced checks.
What?
He got sued by a woman he groped at a dog racetrack. Okay? He gave $2,100 in weekly allowance to his 17-year-old granddaughter. Oh, yeah, that's just not going to get her all addicted to drugs and knocked up. Yeah. $545,000 was stolen from his car outside a strip club because, of course, he's going to be going to the strip club.
And why wouldn't you have $545,000 in your car to go to the strip
club?
club?
$114 million floating around, sure. Then he also had another $200,000 stolen from his car on a different occasion. All right. He used $14 million of that $114 million to create the Jack Whitaker Foundation.
Oh.
And then he got divorced. And his wife got half of whatever was left. In the end, and within 4 years, all of it was gone. It was gone. All right. Now, 1993, the Missouri Lottery. Janet Leigh won $18 million. Okay, that's like lunch for me. Okay, she $1 million house and cars.
Yeah,
she bought a house for the St. Louis Korean American Association because she's a Korean American. All right,
and
awesome.
She has to start bringing them over.
Well, she spent $30,000. She gave $30,000 to a deceased South Korean church pastor's family.
Okay,
she lost $347,000 of it to gambling in 1 year.
What?
Yeah. So she donated to a Korean adoption-related association. Doesn't say how much.
Okay.
That's not good. $277,000 was donated to Democratic political candidates. She had meals with Bill Clinton, Al Gore, and the president of South Korea. All right, that's cool. Those are memories. That's what you should be spending money on.
Yeah.
Bettering yourself and elevating yourself, right?
I wouldn't think a dinner with Obama is benefiting myself.
Well, she didn't have dinner with Obama. She had dinner with Clinton and Gore, and I would do that in a second. As well as the president.
Clinton, yes, not Gore. No.
Are you kidding? He's the only one with the big enough mouth and had the chutzpah to talk about global warming when it wasn't fashionable to do so. I disagree.
All right.
So anyway, I just did that show last week. Anyway, $1 million donated. She created a namesake reading room at Washington University. So now there's the Janet Leigh Reading Room at Washington University. See, I think that's kind of cool, too. I would do something like that, too. Just why not? Bank loans and credit card debt ate up the rest. And in 2001, remember she won in 93?
Right.
In 2001, she filed for bankruptcy. Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Suzanne Mullins, $4.2 million, which is really crap, actually, in the winnings department. She took the annuity, so she got $47,800 a year. I'd be broke, too. Sorry, I would.
Yeah, when they piecemeal you like that,
you're doomed.
Yeah.
$1 million in medical bills for her ill, uninsured son-in-law. Okay. She sold her house, got a $200,000 loan off the 47. She had $4.2 million. Why get a loan? Anyway, and she was in debt within 5 years. In the end, she owned a loan company, $154,000, and had no assets. None. Zero. $4.2 million.
That's responsible.
I'd turn that to $42 million. That's what I would do.
Well, sure.
She won, Evelyn Adams, $5.4 million twice in the lottery. She won twice, in 85 and in 86.
Wow.
Yeah. And who does that? Millions. Right? That's crazy. She gambled it all away in Atlantic City. 20 years later, she's still broke and living in a trailer. She could have spent the entire rest of her life in the lap of luxury.
Yep.
And there you go. Lottery players may be unqualified to deal with the winnings, like we were talking about. 40% or more of the adults that won the lottery gambled once the lottery was won. So
what is up with
they
gambling?
never gambled before,
No.
but then when they won the lottery, that was the only gambling they had done. Harmless. Here's a ticket, right? But once they won the lottery, they would go to casinos and gamble all their money away, right? Of the 2010 lottery players, 40% are unemployed. They play the lottery because that's their income and retirement plan.
Really?
Yeah. In Maryland, the poorest 30% of its population bought 60% of the tickets. So this is what we're saying. It's a scam. It's a carrot in the face of these poor people.
So all the money that's being generated, these huge,
Is by the poor people.
It's by the poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be banned. There should be limits. You have to meet an income requirement to play and an age requirement to win. I'm telling you, there has to be regulations here. It's ridiculous. In Michigan, 5 times more tickets are bought by high school dropouts than by the college educated, of course. You know, I don't buy lottery tickets anymore. I've got 2 more degrees than I did since I started playing the lottery, you know. But that's not why. It's just, you know, when you get to a certain point. I did it for fun. I did it for boredom. I didn't really need the money. I made it, you know, it became another thing for me to conquer. I started doing stats and looking up which tickets won, and I was writing things down, and I had charts, and I would go every week, and the guy knew me.
Computer automated generators for numbers and stuff.
I never did that because I only played the scratchy tickets. I never played the numbers.
Lottery,
right? Yeah, exactly. That because the odds were too astronomical. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
Okay. Now, lottery ticket money could be better spent. All right. Here in 2010. $250 times 4% a year equals $15,662 by retirement. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's you know, that's only I spent way more on the lottery. So if I had totaled up all the money that I spent and did that every year and saved it, sure, well, the kids could go to college. Sure. You know, college-educated players average $250 per year on tickets. But they also spent $250 per year on an IRA with a 4% annual return. So that would equal $15,392 by retirement.
That's the smart money.
Right, exactly. Players that earn under $12,400 a year. Now, this is in 2012, not 90.
Right.
Spend 5% of their income on tickets. That's $620 per year that could be invested, given that figure that we just talked about, towards retirement.
Well, but here's the other scary thing, though, and it goes to investment, and it goes to this whole push from Morgan Spurlock and the We the Economy folks there that we dealt with a couple of months back.
That was such a great film, yeah.
Well, the whole point of that was to try and get people to build their trust back up in the stock market and start investing again. I can't in good conscience recommend anybody invest in that stock market. Not when, 2008, too bad.
Well, no. Fair is fair. And, you know, there was a lot going on at the time beforehand that had been a long time coming. It was not just the stock markets or the investment houses. The real estate market is the thing that went bust and brought down the financial houses.
True. But all these people's money are in all these stocks, and do they control everything? No. The government makes decisions, changes the stock market. Terrorist attacks happen somewhere, it affects the stock market.
Well, that's why you have to have a diverse portfolio, though. You can't be, just limited to, a certain type of investment. You need to have real holdings like property and assets, and you need to have, bonds and mutual funds.
With property
and
and assets, we've all seen, the $250,000 house go to $7,000 at auction, and nobody buy it.
Well, that depends on the area, too, and that's still part and parcel of that economic boom. And it's still part of the reason is the economy. On paper, yeah, we're out of the recession. But in reality, the majority are still working poor, and we're still all starving. $42 billion in prize money was paid out in 2012. $42 billion. There shouldn't be a recession in this country. There shouldn't be anybody whose house is in foreclosure. There shouldn't be any hungry people. And there shouldn't be anybody who has to choose between medicine and food.
And Willie Nelson should pay taxes.
Well, I'm just saying, though. Willie Nelson does what Willie Nelson does, and everybody's going to do what they do.
Yeah.
And I hate paying the tax, man, I got to say, especially when I see crap like this. But, it's a rule. And you don't break the rules, because if you break the rules, then everybody thinks they can break the rules, and then, it's anarchy. And we can't have that sort of thing. Because then the diminished capacities think they can make decisions for us. And I can't have that either. Yeah. So there you go. Now, the state lottery netted, yes.
Yes, the state lottery can wait because seeing as we're keeping in the interest of staying on time tonight.
Okay, we're staying on time.
We're going for our third commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes where Kate will tell you about...
more.
Oh, good.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons, always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
White Rum has a new captain. Introducing the all-new Captain Morgan White Rum, 5 times distilled for a smoother taste.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the Egyptian cotton towels. Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York. Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slick back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down
There's only one place to get more Taylor. The hot new accessory, brows that wow. New from Maybelline, New York, it's Brow Drama, our first sculpting ball brush with tinted gel. Just sweep, then sculpt for bolder, sculpted brows. New Brow Drama. Get the look at Maybelline.com.
Maybe it's Maybelline. You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
Don't even get me started on Oprah.
Oh, well, we got it.
Don't even get me started on Oprah.
Calm down.
I can't help it. It's just unequivocally an abomination.
Well, welcome back to Straight Talk. We're into our second hour now. The Monday night show, of course, Winner Takes It All, talking about the Powerball winners and just lottery in general.
The losers.
We had an interesting conversation during the break.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. And
I had a question. I wondered if, someone with this magnitude of hundreds of millions of dollars, if they could just, pay and assemble a mercenary team to go and, take out the North Korean government.
Yeah.
Just, screw you. I'm not waiting. We know this is a problem. You guys are just sitting on your bureaucratic butts. And you know what? I'm going to hire the best mercenaries I can find and pay them to go in there and, free North Korea.
Take care of business, yeah. And you also pose the question, is that legal?
Is that legal? Could I do that?
I would submit that it goes against no laws. It's a covert operation. You're not going to go to the New York Times and say, I've just paid a team to go into fucking...
Yeah, but even if I did, who'd have jurisdiction?
The UN would be the only ones that could.
Oh, they'd take me to The Hague. Oh,
They'd write you a nasty letter.
And take me to The Hague.
Well, and this is kind of interesting, too, because now with so many people... like this girl here with her 4 kids... this single mom with her $181 million.
Yes, 26 years old.
She's got different priorities. She wouldn't think of something like that. So, of course, the government's just like,
That's
everybody's an idiot. Nobody's going to go and, take care of any kind of business like that.
Maybe that's why we never win.
Well, it's probably why we should.
Well, but that's probably why we don't. Okay, so listen, state lotteries netted $18.7 billion in 2012 versus $16.7 billion in 2009. So, and we also said that over $42 billion in prize money was paid out in 2012. So you add those figures together and you let me know how much is coming in and increasing every year. As the recession or the poor situation
gets worse,
the lottery gets bigger.
And where the hell is all that money going?
Exactly. The top 3 lottery earning states are Rhode Island, New York, and Massachusetts. Okay? In New York, supposedly the government spends $45 billion on public schools. I'm sure everybody who lives within the city of New York would disagree. They might go to the upstate, maybe to where our house is, but they're not in the city.
They can't even afford coats of paint there.
I'm telling you, right? And ticket sales, though, $8.4 billion. And the state profit from that $8.4 billion? $2.9 billion.
In a year.
That's right. That's right.
So how come the roads are still screwed up?
Billions. I mean, yeah. How come New York City isn't the Emerald City?
Yeah.
Or, the City
of
Gold.
Be paved with gold.
Or
what
at
the
least
hell's
the
going
City
on?
of Lights, something. I mean, I love my city, but, I got to say, though, lots and lots has happened, and I'm safer in the city than in a lot of other places.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't, disparage my city. But anyway, do the states really benefit? The state's educational lottery was created for North Carolina in 2005. In 2008, $50 million from lottery reserves was reassigned to help balance the budget. Right?
Uh-huh.
And in 2009, $69 million in lottery money was slated initially for school construction, but it was diverted to the general fund.
Yeah, this general fund thing I keep hearing more and more about.
Right. In Florida in 2009, the K-12 education portion of the state budget was $21 billion. Lottery revenues only put $660 million of it into public schools. That's only 3.1%.
Yep.
Okay? So, yeah. 2013, Oregon. The Oregon Health Authority, which receives lottery funding of $10 million every other year for efforts against problem gambling. Well, right?
Here's 50 cents towards that problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, the IRS wins Everything, 39.6%. Winning ticket holders pay the top 39.6% federal rate.
Yep.
So, of course, they're going to charge you in the highest bracket there is. If you win, here's how to keep it. You ready? To safely spend $1 million a year for 55 years. Wow, that would never work for me. A, you must win $75 million. And then you'll get to keep $36 million after taxes. You have to set aside $15 million in high-quality bonds for 15 years of spending from stable investments. Okay?
All right.
We'll get more into the stocks things because, even as an American, it's confusing. But I can imagine that the American financial markets for a Canadian is confusing, too. It's not your forte. You're great with film budgets, but the rest is just not your forte. So that's cool. I'll learn with you. We'll learn together. All right. Plus, put $21 million in a diversified stock portfolio. See, what was I talking about?
Right.
For the remaining 40 years. The ticket, I don't care if you have $100 million or $100. You have to be diversified. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I did real estate for many, many years before I was married. And, real estate is still your best bet. Property values will rise and fall forever, but the land will hopefully always be here.
Right.
So it's still your best bet. But always have some stocks, have some bonds, have some mutual funds, some short-term investments, some long-term ones. Have a retirement plan. Do yourself some good.
Right.
And while my husband disagrees, insurance is always a great way to grow your portfolio and remain protected. But that's just my point. So after winning the lottery.
My point of that is insurance companies die in a fire.
Yes. Well, yes. You're just afraid that somebody's going to off you. That's all.
No, I'm afraid they won't pay out like they never do.
Oh, okay. Well, that's true. My insurance company wouldn't pay out when we flooded the basement. All right. After winning the lottery, if you make it to the 5th year with enough money to securely handle your life and all of your relationships are intact, you just might stay a winner. But the odds of you having any semblance of the life that you had, for good or ill, after 5 years is almost nil. So it's just incredible. And while we still have some time, I want to tell you a little bit about. Now, in the U.S., you have to be 18 to play the lottery.
Right.
Right. Not so the rest of the world. I don't know if the laws are now, but Callie Rogers won $3 million in a UK lottery. She was 16 years old, and she won $3 million. Okay. She spent her winnings on vacations, homes, shopping, friends, even a couple of breast implants and breast improvement surgeries.
All right.
6 years later, she's a 22-year-old single mother of 2. She now works as a maid to sustain herself and her family. She's paying off the debt induced by her spending. And today she has this to say about her winnings. My life is a shambles, and hopefully now it is all gone. I can find some happiness. It brought me nothing but unhappiness, and it ruined my life. There you go. You don't give a 16-year-old $3 million. What? I've got 2 14-year-old teenage daughters, and they're lucky they're going to get $30. It's just, what? $3 million. Are you kidding? $30, and then I'll be, Mom, I need 30 more bucks. I need 30 more bucks. If they're anything like I was, they're going to need 30 more bucks. All right. Now, the Roby Brigade. The day before Thanksgiving 1996, 43 farmers from Roby, Texas pooled their money to buy 430 lottery tickets.
Yeah.
The next day, they won the $46 million prize.
Yeehaw.
Now, Roby was a town of only 600 inhabitants, and it was suddenly full of millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great world. Those winning would have saved Roby. It was a floundering cotton farming town facing severe drought. They could have pooled their money and saved that town, but that didn't happen. They used their jackpots. What does that say there? $1,085,162,000 total, or $39,000 a year for practical uses like starting college funds, paying off loans, buying new pickup trucks. Right. Though the town's farmers could finally breathe a sigh of relief, few prospered from their winnings. Most winners cut deals with the lottery buyout brokers who gave them cash up front in exchange for future annual payments, right? Which most people would do, right? You sell it. So, but it left them with roughly a third of their original winnings. And then bad business ventures and bad luck didn't help. Years later, Roby remains the same dying town. For all the trouble that the lottery brought on me, I don't know whether to be happy I won or sorry I didn't, said Lance Green, the town's mayor at the time. So, I mean, they could have actually saved a town.
Well, $46 million ain't going to make it rain.
No, that's true too, but still. All right, Ken Proxmire. He was a tool grinder from Michigan. He only won $1 million, but he won it in the 1977 Michigan lottery. So back then, 77,
it was worth about $6-7 million. Yeah.
Right, exactly. He used his winnings to indulge his inner entrepreneur. He moved to California and he opened a chain of sporting goods stores.
Nice.
See, now there's somebody who actually did the right thing, right? You would think, right?
No, not
But
always.
several years later, his business went under. He's $100,000 in debt. He filed for bankruptcy. His wife left him. You know, since his business failure, tax payments and bankruptcy settlements have gobbled up his winnings.
See, but this is the thing, though, and this is what a lot of people don't understand.
He didn't go to business school. He didn't know how to do that stuff.
You can get. He could have won $400 million, and the time it would take him to go out of business and be bankrupt would just be longer.
Right.
Because these people, you know, if you have a savvy business person, like you just said earlier in the show, you know, if you and I got $100,000, we'd turn that into $100 million in a set period of time because that's how we are.
And that's what we do, right?
Yeah, your mic's up here. You got to actually speak into it and not lean back.
I'm just doing stuff now.
Relax like you're sleeping or something. But if you don't have a business sense and if you're operating on a bad model, you might think you're doing great because you've spent all this money and you got company vehicles and company buildings and staff and all this hustle and bustle and it's all, it's so exciting. But if you don't know what you're doing, you're just throwing it away.
It's just like thinking you can make a film on an iPhone.
What?
Yeah. Oh, I'm making a film on an iPhone. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be the next Steven Spielberg. I'm going to be this. Here, quick, put it on YouTube. You know, and you're still just a doofus with an iPhone on YouTube. That's it. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Anybody could buy a business and run it into the ground. Pretty much.
Well, and that's the other thing that's kind of interesting is nobody seems to be, none of these people that win the lottery that I've seen that we've researched or talked about tonight, none of them have looked into cash generators.
Well,
it's probably because they don't know what they are and where do I get one?
All right, and we have a lot of neighbors and we love our neighbors. They're all very kind up here.
I wish they were all dead. Yeah.
Yeah. But if any one of our neighbors was given $10 million, they would wind up just like these people because, they're just your average. They work for somebody else their whole life.
Right.
That kind of thing. They don't know how to be entrepreneurial. They don't know how to do that sort of thing. That's why they still work for somebody their whole life.
Well, and the other thing is, too, is something else in common with every single one of these lottery winners who has lost is when they do things like get into business or make investments or something, it's without that knowledge.
That's what I was just going to mention next. Did you notice, and I have a few more awesome stories, and this next one's really going to rock your socks, but did you notice what's the first thing I would do if I won the lottery?
Buy me an $80,000 watch.
Besides that, I mean for myself.
Breast implants?
That would be for you.
Oh.
But for myself, that would be. You know me that well. What's the first thing that I would do? If I had money at my disposal and I could just get whatever I wanted, pay for whatever I wanted, what would be the first thing I would do?
Well, I would probably say a writer's workshop with some of Hollywood's finest.
Okay, well, all right, that's good too. But I would say I would just pay for another 4-year degree. And I would just go back to school for another 4 years and get another degree. If I could just pay cash for that, I would do it.
And if you had the time, yeah.
Well, time is, when I had that kind of money, time is easy. You hire people to do everything else.
Okay.
Right? But, wouldn't that be the first thing I would do? More education.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, not one of these people.
Oh, no.
With all their money.
Well, that brings up something else interesting, too. This black girl here, the 26-year-old that just won 181.
She's not going to school?
Well, no. But here's the thing, though. She might sit there and say, well, I'm going to have college funds for the kids. Well, it's still not going to be Harvard or Yale.
No, and they're still not. They have to graduate high school and grammar school first. And
one of the misconceptions in this country that I see almost every day is people directly equate money with equality
and affluence.
Well,
and it's irrelevant.
Yeah, but you see, that's the grand mistake because, of course, affluence is what?
A mindset.
There you go.
It's a mindset. It's not a bank balance, folks.
Yeah, you can't come from that background and
rub
expect
shoulders
that you can,
with those that have educated themselves, gone on the grand tour,
and
know the world's history.
And of course, now this takes us back to you were going to get into Oprah.
Oh, don't even get me started on Oprah.
Oh, no, you didn't.
She can start schools in Africa all she wants, but what about all the kids here?
Yeah.
Let her take a barefoot walk through Georgia where she grew up and all that kind of stuff. And why isn't she building schools there? Why is the crime rate in Atlanta quadruple what it is in the rest of the country? Why isn't she doing something about that?
Or a bulletproof vest for kids in Detroit.
Whatever. I mean, yeah, she's in Chicago. It's no greater there. You know what I mean? What is she doing that's so great? Africa is Africa.
Well, she's
you live here.
Oprah is hanging out with all those TED Talks people trying to be impressive.
Yeah, well, those TED Talks people are impressive. It's not by proxy. Sorry. And money doesn't make you anything but rich.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Unless you utilize it to better yourself and get an education and do all that kind of stuff. Self-awareness and self-examination are critical. And you can be not a penny to your name and the greatest person on the planet and somebody that can teach and do and create amazing things because you're self-aware and because you have that ego-free kind of thing. And, and you be that kind of person that people can benefit from being around. You can have all the money in the world and certainly not be that. Look at Paris Hilton. Look at all those other people that have tons of money. Just look at the entire Kardashian lineage right there.
Well, hey, got to give
go.
them at least something. Their businesses are making money.
Yeah, but that's okay. So
that's something.
No. That's other people running their businesses while they're in front of the camera. There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, I tried to give the Kardashians kudos and failed.
Yes.
We'll be back in 2 minutes for another edition of this fine Monday night show.
And you're listening to Straight Talk with Kate and Crash on HTLA Radio 1, New York.
Good morning. Welcome to Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where fresh always tastes better. What can I make you this morning?
How about our new flatbread breakfast paninis? Made fresh, just for you, with your favorite breakfast ingredients on maple or multigrain flatbread, then grilled to hot, melted perfection. Just $2.99. Who couldn't warm up to that?
Tim Hortons Cafe and Bake Shop, where quality really does meet value.
I stood outside assessing the situation. I knew it could be rough in there, but how rough, there was no way to know for sure.
Hey, guys.
Daddy, it's pink!
But hey, a new house, it's a blank canvas, and we got a great one, thanks to a really low mortgage rate from Navy Federal Credit Union.
Pink?
So she's a princess. You got a problem with that?
Hoorah! Hoorah!
4 million members, 4 million stories. Navy Federal Credit Union.
You walked into the hotel as a 5. But when she saw the room, you turned into a weird 7. When she saw the rooftop pool, you went to 11. You two should probably get a room. Oh, that's right. You already did. At Planet Earth's #1 accommodation site, Booking.com. Booking.yeah.
I've been so inspired by being in New York because everything from what people are wearing on the street to the way they're interacting with each other, to drive through the West Village at night and you see a couple kissing on the street, or you see someone fighting outside their apartment, or you see so much humanity on a daily basis that even if you're not inspired by your own life that day, you can be inspired by someone else's life.
You got that long hair, slicked back, white t-shirt, and I got that good girl face and a tight little skirt. And when we go crashing down, we come back every time, 'cause we never go out, we never style, we never go out of style. Take me out.
There's only one place to get more Taylor. The hot new accessory, brows that wow. New from Maybelline, New York, it's Brow Drama, our first sculpting ball brush with tinted gel. Just sweep, then sculpt for bolder, sculpted brows. New Brow Drama. Get the look at Maybelline.com.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Oh, never mind. It doesn't matter, yeah.
I know. I'm just out of coffee, though. But okay.
Out of coffee?
Yes, sir.
No, stop the show.
Stop
right.
the show right
Stop.
now. You
There
can
we
go, and I'll get coffee, and you can talk to these lovely listeners. I'm quick.
There it is. Sorry, folks. Should have happened during the commercial break, but we didn't realize until all too late.
I hope I made a pot.
Oh, she'd better made a pot. We're out of coffee. My God, I gotta have
Out of coffee just in the pot.
an emergency alarm going off here. Well, take two. Yeah. Welcome back to Straight Talk Mondays with Kate and Crash here on HTLA Radio 1 New York for this Monday, the 23rd of February, 2015. It's getting down to 11 degrees now in Central Park and clear skies. It's icy. Yeah. I'm not even being kidding about icy dicey. Our show this evening, of course, is the Winner Takes It All, talking about the Powerball lottery winners, the latest ones. Ridiculous amounts of money, too. 181 million this one girl has. I thought it was kind of a good thing, single mom, 26 years old, has got 4 kids. You'd think, hey, good. Somebody who needs the money and deserves it finally gets it. Well, as we're seeing, of course, in our research of other lottery winners through the ages, it's actually more of a curse than a blessing unless you really, really, really know what you're doing. So that's what we're jawing about tonight on the big program. Once again, a little reminder, if you haven't been, go check it out, HTLARadio1.com. That's the number 1, just like us, not O-N-E, because then the domain would read HTLARadio1. And we are not Scotland's best talk. No. Yeah, so check out the website if you like. Also, if you want to drop us a line, you can, of course, as always. You can email producer at HTLARadio1.com, and we will be sure to answer your comments or questions. And, of course, the woman has returned empty-handed.
I have. I'm sorry. I didn't make a pot. Pot time.
Meaning that the pot is on.
Well, that's what happens when we do night shows and the studio's empty and there's nobody here to make coffee for me.
And the pot, of course, being that of Tim Hortons, New York City, now with 8 locations to serve your coffee and baked goods needs.
Uh-huh.
We highly recommend them.
Absolutely. So how long does it take a pot to brew?
Generally about 7 minutes in that machine, I think.
All right, just enough time until our next commercial break.
It is. It is.
I want to talk about William Bud Post. Ow. Yes. William Bud Post won $16.2 million in the 1998 lottery.
All right.
And, what do you think this kindly elderly man did? The first thing, no, it was rhetorical, Daddy.
No.
The first thing he did was try to please his family because that's what good men do.
Right.
Right? Unfortunately, his kin was an unfriendly sort.
Oh.
He was. Post's brother hired a hitman to kill him, hoping to inherit the money. Other family members persuaded him to invest in 2 businesses that ultimately failed. Post's ex-girlfriend sued him for some of the winnings, saying that, she was dating him at the time, so she was entitled to some. And Post himself was thrown in jail for firing a gun at a bill collector. Now, over time, Post accumulated so much debt that he had to declare bankruptcy. He now relies on Social Security income. And he's quoted as saying, after he lost all his money, "Lotteries don't mean anything to me." So there's so many horror stories. I mean, I think the ratio of success stories upon winning the lottery to, horror stories is astronomical. It's got to be like 2% to 98%.
Well, I think there's lessons here that are already known.
Well, yeah.
Not that people need to learn them, that are already known. And who they're known by, of course, would be the wealthy. Take Sir Richard Branson for an example. Now here's a guy who believes in human growth. This is a guy who believes in teamwork and all those good corporate things that he's always talking about. And here's a guy who also does huge amounts in philanthropy, but something you never see him do is just give somebody a large sum of money.
Right.
You know, he will offer. There's different programs that he sponsors and supports for different things, and he has a very high percentage of giving back for charity and that kind of thing. But he doesn't just give huge wads of money away to people, and he could,
right?
But he doesn't, and
well, that's why, yeah.
And his friend there, Keira Knightley. Is always out at Necker Island and hanging out with them and windsurfing and everything else. He doesn't even give her large sums of money.
Well, why would he? She's got money of her own, but
well, see, but that's the thing.
She's a famous actress model,
right? But it's when you reach that level, it's not about money.
Of course not.
It's about the people.
Sure. It's even when you're even at the level beneath that level too, and it's like I told you. And well, we're not nearly at Branson level, but even when we just started to get that little bit more successful than we had been, everybody comes out of the woodwork. They just come out of the woodwork, and whether it's give me money or give me a job or recommend me for this or hey, talk to this guy for this, or it's just want. It's and it's sad for my children, and because a lot of. It's hard for us as well to even, have friendships that are genuine.
I don't even want to talk to people that I don't know half the time.
Right. It's really hard. And it was really, for me, having grown up in this industry, it was different, but it was really tough for him. Because my husband's somebody who's, honorable and honest, and to find people that, were just not. It was really hard, on that level, because you think, well, you're a business person, I'm a business person, we share that business integrity kind of thing, and it's just non-existent, especially in this country, so it was hard to watch that realization of his too. So I know, but that you're right about that, and that's the way it goes, and it's sad for the kids because children generally don't care about that stuff, but now the girls are teenagers and it's different. Our son doesn't have to worry. The little boys, their parents, on the other hand, but it's hard. It really is. And that brings me to Willie Hurt, appropriately named. Yes, he won $3.1 million in the '89 Michigan lottery, and within 2 years, as old as our child, 24 months.
Right.
He was a former family man. His life was in shambles. His wife divorced him. He lost custody of his kids. He spent the rest of his money on crack cocaine and wound up in jail on attempted murder charges. I mean, and this is just somebody who was an average guy before he won the lottery.
Really?
But, the money made him start partying and doing all these things he was never able to do or never had, an occasion to do, and...
Well, from the looks of him, he wasn't in good enough shape. Please, folks, when you win the lottery, consult the doctor before you go partying.
Yeah. Well, that's true, too.
Disclaimer with anything.
Yeah. But, it's... Yeah, well, remember we were talking about Jack Whitaker earlier? I have some more details about Jack Whitaker. I remember I had mentioned him earlier. He actually won $315 million in the Powerball jackpot. He'd already had a net worth of $17 million.
Oh.
Because he was a very successful owner of a contracting company by the time he won.
Nice.
Right? He was 55 when he won.
So this should be a good story.
Well, no, I was mentioning Jack earlier in my previous thing. He wound up taking the lump and received $114 million, so plus the $17 million he already had. He gave some money to Christian Charities member and a personal foundation, the Jack Whitaker.
Right.
That foundation wound up supporting low-income families in West Virginia.
And now Jack Whitaker.
Right. So, well, that's right. He did some good, but his bad deeds is what make up the rest of the interesting story. He was arrested twice, once for drunk driving and then once for threatening a bar manager. right? And we talked about how a woman sued him after he groped her at a dog track.
Right.
Remember? And this is the guy that took $545,000 in cash from his car.
Right.
And then a year later, somebody else stole $200,000 from his car. Right.
Probably the same guy hit it.
That's right. Caesars Atlantic City sued him for $1.5 million in bounced checks, and his wife divorced him. Right. Then there were the dead bodies.
What?
Yeah. In 2003, Whitaker's granddaughter's boyfriend was found dead of an overdose inside his home. You remember he was giving his 17-year-old granddaughter a $2,100 a week allowance.
Yeah.
She fatally overdosed months later at a different location. His daughter, mother of the dead granddaughter, died of yet undisclosed causes. So this is one of the messiest lotto stories, and nobody won in this one. Anything.
No, clearly.
So, yeah. It's just, and that's, that's not even the scariest ones.
That's
right?
not even the good stuff yet.
Yeah. So in 1997, Home Depot stocker Billy Bob Harold Jr. won $31 million in the Texas lottery.
Woo!
To the former Pentecostal preacher, that was a gift from heaven. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He bought a ranch, 6 homes for himself and his family, and a bunch of new cars. After the initial glory subsided, however, he found himself losing and loaning money at an alarming rate. People come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Like many winners, he can't say no to, you got people in trouble and, people who are around you that have been struggling too. And now here you are winning. And
the way I look at it, they were in trouble before I won all that money.
Right, but here you are, now you have all this money that was just a gift. Why can't you share it with me? You've seen me struggle and try and feed my kids and try and go through the same things you were going through before you won.
I could, but why would I? I have the same struggles as you. Just because I got lucky and got an extra 114 mil or whatever it was.
Right.
How does that make us different? I still deal with the same things you do. I just happen to have...
Right, but I'm the neighbor coming to you that, we were both making $40,000 a year. Now you got 114, and if you give me $1 million, my family's life is different forever. And you got 114, why wouldn't you? That's what people do, and they go to these, that's the story they use, and that's the trap and all these things.
Well, then this is what I say.
How can I say no?
I'd tell them, Bob, sorry, I've got family, and they've demanded all the frickin' money.
That's why you're getting the money.
And then if it's the family, I tell them, hey, I'm sorry, my next-door neighbor, Bob, demanded all the money, and I gave it to him.
See, that's why you are handling the money, because I give it all away. That's right.
No way.
Anyway, as a result, his life became way too stressful to handle.
That's what the 4 AR-15s are for.
Well, he divorced his wife, and less than 2 years after winning all that money, he committed suicide. Right before doing so, he said, winning the lottery is the worst thing that ever happened to me. And he killed himself. So...
Yeah, that's kind of the ultimate...
That's it. That's it. That's the capper to my crazy lotto stories, And I do have some cute, funny ones. Well, I don't know if they're funny, but, there's this guy, Michael Linsky. He won a Mass Millions lottery ticket from South Boston Liquor Mart. And he found out a few days later he hit the numbers in a big way. 14 million. Boom. Life was about to become a vacation, baby. Right? One problem. The liquor store was owned by a Southie mobster by the name of Whitey Bulger.
Oh.
Yes, and we all know Whitey Bulger. We just did. Joe Berlinger was just on my show, Real Talk, and he did the documentary about him.
Yeah.
Right. So, how utterly screwed Linsky found himself. He was just... well, we know because we did the documentary, but Whitey Bulger was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list and all this, and when he found out that Linsky won the ticket from his liquor store, he decided to pay him a visit. We don't know what really happened at the meeting, but afterward, Linsky came forward and basically said, no, it was just a misunderstanding. I wasn't the sole winner. Whitey and I bought the ticket together with these 2 other guys. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
And could you imagine? So this guy, there's another guy in Kansas who won $75,000, right? Mm-hmm. It's the middle of February. Picture this. And you're in Wichita, Kansas. No, you didn't lose a bet with a wizard. You actually lived there of your own volition. Right. In February 2013, a 27-year-old Wichita resident and employee at a local Sonic burger stand stopped on his way home to pick up a scratch ticket, and he hit to the tune of $75 large. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The young man just had enough time to show up at the lottery office to receive his cash, plus a free Kansas Lottery t-shirt, which he abruptly changed into before going out and buying several ounces of weed and methamphetamine. Yes. Later on, while hilariously still wearing his Lucky Lotto winner t-shirt, he decided to reload a butane lighter while standing next to a gas stove. It's unclear whether or not the young man had a basic understanding of how pilot's lights work, but he was just, or he could have just been blazed out of his mind at the time. Anyway, you get the picture. The pilot's spark managed to ignite flames from the butane canister, and well, he blew up his house, right? The guy survived, though, fortunately. Firefighters and cops were called to what was left of the house, and in keeping with Murphy's Law, while the ensuing conflagration toward the unfortunate house a pretty good one, it also managed to leave enough drugs intact for the lottery-winning genius to be placed under arrest as soon as he got out of the hospital.
Of course.
Hey, at least he had money to cover the bill. All right, now, so Amanda Clayton won $1 million. She got arrested for welfare fraud. Check this out. As a contestant on the Michigan Lottery-sponsored game show Make Me Rich, Amanda Clayton hit it big and walked away with the $1 million grand prize on September 11th, 2011. Wow, there you go. Maybe that should have been taken as an ominous portent or something because, you know, what could possibly go wrong, right? She won $1 million.
Well, she kept getting her welfare check.
That's right. Well, for starters, Clayton was receiving a couple $100s each month in state assistance at the time of her big win. And then after she received the giant cardboard check on live television, the state continued to put the money on her food card for like a year. So Clayton didn't see a problem with this. As she put it, I still needed the money, but now I got 2 houses to pay for. I still need my food stamps. Right?
These mansions don't run themselves.
That's right. So the state of Michigan kind of disagreed and charged her with 2 felony counts of welfare fraud with, 5 years in prison for each count. So complicating matters was the second charge leveled at her by one of her neighbors after an altercation where a bag of grass clippings should be dumped. And by altercation, we mean Clayton allegedly sent a couple of goons to her neighbor's house to sort things out with a knife, baseball bat, and pellet gun. Right? Because now she's got the money, you know. Yeah.
Quality bodyguards there with the pellet gun.
Yeah, right? But see, that's what I mean. You give people like that money, and this is the kind of stuff they feel entitled to do. They think they're on TV now.
Now, isn't it interesting that you come off this story, and that's what these people are doing.
Well, wait, it's not done yet.
Oh.
Wait. Clayton responded to this rapidly expanding list of woes by dying promptly of a drug overdose about a year after a big win. Right? There you go. So there you go. All's well that ends well.
Now I can talk? Okay, good.
Yeah, you can talk. Go ahead.
Thanks. It's amazing to me. It's just like you say. This is what these people are like and about, and this is how they operate. And while I got these $2 million mansions now that they don't run themselves. Of course, I still need food stamps.
That's the mentality.
But it's kind of what I'm saying, I guess, and that's the difference why somebody like you and I winning lottery would do so much better. We've got that element of common sense along with business acumen and everything else in under the sun. These people just operate from where they're at, and where they're at is very short-sighted, and it's very tunnel vision. It's
like I say, you can only operate from the level that you're aware. And if you don't do that, due diligence and self-examination and self-awareness and actively grow and actively continue get educated and, improve your perspective of the world, you're going to stay there.
Yeah.
So I've got, we're running long, but I've got 2 more and then we'll close it out. But Jose Antonio Cuatac, right? This guy fled from Guatemala to the U.S. in 2000. He found gainful employment in Macon, Georgia, and he began to search for the American dream. In November 2010, he found it, or at least the particular dream that some American folks aspire to vis-a-vis, being randomly handed $750,000, right? At the time of the lottery win, Cuatac was working as a laborer for a guy named Eric Cervantes. He crossed the border illegally. Cuatac wasn't a U.S. citizen, and he didn't have a visa either. His quite understandable concern was that he might face some unwanted scrutiny by cashing in the winning ticket. Mm-hmm. So Cuatac went to the one guy he knew might be able to help him out, his boss.
Eric Cervantes.
That's right. And
Another illegal.
Yeah, right now. And Cervantes basically said, sure, I'll cash it in for you. You know what happened next, don't you?
Duh.
Yeah, we don't have an exact transcript of the conversation, but the gist probably went something like this. So were you able to cash that ticket in for me?
What ticket?
Ticket? Why, I have no idea what you're talking about, stranger.
I was down buying my new truck. Do you like it?
That's right. He speeds off on a brand new gold-plated jet ski while laughing maniacally. That's right.
Totally called it.
Yeah. So Kuatak kind of flipped out a bit after that. You can't blame him. And the next few years weren't too fun for him. He allegedly threatened Cervantes and his family and was jailed for several months on terrorism charges.
Of course.
He then became embroiled in a very costly lawsuit to try and recoup his money. Now, here's the thing. Kuatak eventually did win much of his money back in the lawsuit, since there is no law preventing a non-U.S. citizen from playing the lottery any more than a tourist from outside the U.S. would be prevented from collecting his winnings from a casino poker tournament. So,
right, but here's the thing. As a Canadian tourist, they would pay the 39% to the IRS.
Right.
Then when they go to Canada, they're going to pay 55% to the Canadian government. Let's see, about $80.
That's right. But here, listen to this. However, after receiving what was left of his prize, $500,000 after taxes minus $250 in attorney fees, minus an additional $50,000 in fines, he won $750, folks. He's 50 in the hole. Right? Okay. Kuatak was given a choice: leave the country voluntarily or be deported, in which case he'd be barred from returning to the U.S. for a period of at least 10 years. Oh, and then he was thrown in jail on a drunk driving conviction. Yeah.
So now you got 10 years.
Right. There you go. All right, and the last but not least, Timothy Elliott violates his parole by winning $1 million. Yes, it was his life's ambition to win one of the grand prizes in the Massachusetts State Lottery. Massachusetts. Yes, we're not saying that to be snarky. Things actually did seem to be, his grand vision for his life was to win the lottery. Like I told you, there's a lot of people, and we've seen it by the numbers of how many poor people that don't even make money that play the lottery.
Right.
Think that's their retirement plan. There was a time in 2006 when he committed armed robbery at a convenience store, fled to another convenience store, and spent his take from the first convenience store on lottery tickets. But he didn't win. But that's why this seems to be like his goal in life was to win the lottery. That's it.
Wow.
Now, we should point out that Elliott was diagnosed with a schizoid personality disorder, and for the above incident, he was given probation and mandatory mental health counseling in lieu of any real jail time.
Right.
So, but part of his probation, he was instructed to stay out of trouble. No leaving the state, no drug use, no gambling. The standard stuff, right?
Right.
His luck took a turn for the better when he purchased another state lotto ticket the legit way in 2007 and won $1 million. See, persistence pays off, kids. Don't ever quit. Keep going. Never give up. Now, remember that list of stuff, though, we were supposed to avoid while on probation? And how gambling was on there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Turns out paying $1 or whatever for a scratch ticket is still considered gambling. So if you want to get technical about it. So when he cashed in his $1 million winning ticket, a picture of him went in the paper. Somebody saw the photo and realized that it was none other than Timothy Elliott. He was arraigned less than 48 hours after his big day, facing not only a return to jail, but the forfeiture of his $1 million dream. That's not cool. I'm sorry, that's not cool. But the story has a happy ending, relatively. Elliott's still an ex-con, but the court overturned the probation violation and ended up giving his winnings, with the provision that he pay a modest restitution. Now,
what did they determine as modest?
Well, they don't really say, but it's a
$900,000.
Yeah, right. It's a relatively happy ending because if you've learned nothing else from these, stories that I've been telling you all night,
right,
winning that much cash appears to be a curse rather than a blessing. So
there you go.
There you go.
There you go. So, yeah. So what is the answer? Stop chasing the dollar.
Yeah, well, stop chasing the lottery because, like I said, I think that if, we stopped all of us collectively in this country for a year playing the lottery, what would the government do?
It's an interesting question, and it kind of goes back to where I was at the beginning of the show. Is who's the lottery group?
All the money isn't just by people buying tickets. There's donations. There's things that are raised to go into the lottery. It's not just You know,
I know, but I mean, who are these
535 million people didn't pay $1 a ticket for that prize.
No.
So it's coming from elsewhere.
Yeah, but
Taxes
but
and
who
such.
are the anonymous masked who are running this whole thing?
I don't know.
And indeed, with that, you know, I know in Canada the British Columbia Lottery is the British Columbia Lottery Corporation. They're a private company, and yeah, you have to ask yourself the question. This business model is a no-lose business model. It's the only one of its kind.
What, the lottery?
The lottery.
Right.
So, you know, the British Columbia Lottery Corporation, there they are, and yeah, you can't miss. If that's your company, you can't miss. But who is behind that lottery corporation? And indeed, who is behind the Powerball and the 649? And, you know, who are these people? What you know, why is there, where's the accountability, I guess?
Right.
Who oversees all of this? Is this is it the federal government? Do they have IRS auditors that oversee everything going on here? Because while you say that there are, you know, other sources of income that the Lottery Corporation is getting to put into these huge pots, it's not just 535 million people out there all buying $1 ticket. What are some of these other initiatives? What are some of these other things? How are they procuring all and amassing these huge funds, and indeed turning around and dispersing them all and making any money off that? Like, how does that work? That it seems
Not a
shady. Exactly.
I always felt scammy about it, but I played like I said.
Well, you know, they say that the mafia doesn't exist anymore. I say BS. They're just hiding.
No, I say it's, you know, well, I don't think they're hiding either. I think, you know, they're fine as they are. They're not the most criminal organization in this country.
They're not getting murdered outside of restaurants anymore in the city.
No, that's true. Well, yeah, Giuliani put a stop to all that anyway, but...
Well, that's what I mean by they're not around anymore.
Right. But, I mean, I don't think that they're, like I said, as much of an issue anymore as, you know, the government is our real problem, you know. And while I always, you know, believe in the institution of the hierarchy, you know, there certainly is stuff that can be done to remedy
well,
things.
and another interesting thing too here, U.S. Senate committees have overseen and done public inquiries into pretty much everything you can imagine in the last 60, 70 years. There's never been an inquiry into the Lottery Corporation or its functions or movements. Who
what
oversees?
happened? Yeah, where's the transparency?
When you've got this huge amount of billions of dollars, you know, rolling around here every year. You're telling me no government body is keeping an eye on that?
Nope. No, there's... Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yep.
Food for thought and questions for more.
That's right.
There you go.
Yes, you said it. And, well, it's been a really fun show, and I'm glad it's not been as serious as our other shows. But, I mean, it's been serious for the poor winners that had to suffer through winning.
Well, true. And actually, the first and second segments of this show are awesome. Love them.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yes, I love having you with me, and, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Right. So, yes, on that note, I would like to thank HTLA Radio 1 for allowing us to bring you the issues that matter to the people and with the people to whom they matter most, for allowing us to meet so many awesome people, too. And we're going to have some kicking guests in the next couple of months. Just you hang on. They're coming. Oh, my goodness. Spring is really going to explode. Right. And we share so many awesome things. And hopefully you take stuff away with you when you leave, like I say. A huge thank you to our sponsors and supporters, and of course, we're nothing without you, our listeners. Last but not least, thank you to my producer, co-host, and husband. Oh, my love, I'm so happy you were here with me.
There you go.
Christopher John Taylor, be here tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock, because his coffee and cigarette show is not to be missed with all his special guests and fun-ins going on.
Oh, my.
Yes, that's absolutely right. Be sure to be here next Monday, Meeps, because you never know who's going to show up on Straight Talk to talk straight. Be your only one, too, and whatever you do. See you next time. Good night.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1, New York.